Yes. My question is, recently I've been noticing on television, mostly cable news, that victims of white supremacy who have read your book and who are attempting to produce justice on these programs by getting on these programs and saying some of your code words, they've been given more and more attention. And I've also noticed with this increased amount of attention, it seems that they're being baited into arguing and bickering with other victims of white supremacy. And oftentimes this is being positioned as for entertainment purposes. My question for you is, what advice do you have for victims of white supremacy who are attempting to produce justice by getting on these discussion panels? My question is, what advice do you have for them to avoid being baited into bickering and arguing with other victims as opposed to focusing on the white supremacists themselves?
Mr. Fuller?
Never argue with other victims of racism about race, racism, and or counter-racism. That's a solid part of the code, because that is a serious problem. Slaves chained together at the bottom of the slave ship, arguing about whose chains are shinier than the other chains. It goes nowhere. A part of the compensatory code, making up for what's missing, is to eliminate all of that altogether. Mm-hmm. There can be exchanges of views, and that's all that they are. Because in the economic section of the textbook, it says you do exchange views. But you're just exchanging views. That's all I'm doing right now. I gave an illustration earlier in this program. One of the first people to look at my book, one of the very first, that's the original basic edition, the 1984 edition that came out in the 1984 edition. One of the people that looked at the book was a black male, and he said, "Fuller, I looked at this book that you have out here, and I don't see anything in it that I can use." And I said, "That's fine. That's excellent. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Because if you didn't see anything in there that you can use, it means that there's nothing in the book that you can use, which means you don't use things that you don't need. You said that there's nothing in it that you can use, so therefore you pay no attention to nothing that's in this book. The book is not for you. The book is for people who can use it. And it's the same way in any discussion about how to solve the race problem among the victims. You just exchange views. You do not argue. You do not try to convince anybody of anything. You just say what your views are, and the person will say, "Well, what you just told me, I don't think I can use it." That's the way it's supposed to work. And if the person that you're talking to, you're trying to get something from them, and they don't tell you anything that you can use, you just say, "Well, you haven't told me anything that I can use, so we'll just move on to something else." So you just change the subject and start talking about something else. It shouldn't ever, in any circumstance, be an exchange of views that leads to an argument. Arguments go nowhere, because we're all still victims. No one has ever solved the race problem. Every now and then you'll hear somebody say that they have come up with a solution to the race problem. Well, that doesn't make sense. How can they have the solution and the problem is still here?
Yes. My question is,